Summit. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. We're broadcasting from Marrakesh, Morocco. Here at the UN climate talks, one issue that's being largely ignored is Morocco's more than 41-year occupation of Western Sahara, located south of Morocco. Many consider it to be Africa's last colony. Last week, Moroccan authorities barred the Sahrawi political leader, Souelma Bayrou, from attending the climate summit, even though she serves as the vice president of the Pan-African Parliament. She was reportedly held by Moroccan police for 75 hours without food or water. Morocco also faced criticism after it briefly published a map on an official COP22 website that showed occupied Western Sahara to be a part of Morocco. The image was later taken down from that website. The UN considers Western Sahara to be a non-self-governing territory. In March, Morocco expelled UN staffers from Western Sahara after UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon referred to Morocco's rule over the region as an occupation during a visit to the Algerian town of Tindouf, which has been the home for Western Saharan refugees for 4 decades. One half of the Sahrawi population lives in the refugee camps, while the other half lives in the territory under occupation. Moroccan authorities also continue to block many international journalists and human rights organizations from entering the occupied Western Sahara. This week, I spoke to the British-based Algerian activist Hamza Hamouchine, who serves as the senior program officer for North Africa and West Asia at the British organization War on Want.
So I'm here for the COP to organize events around the COP22, but I'm not participating officially for the COP22. So we organize different events to be in solidarity with communities that are being affected by environmental injustices, by the neoliberal policies of the Moroccan monarchy. And I have attempted to travel to the occupied territories of Western Sahara 2 days ago, and I have been denied entry.
What happened? Where did you go, and how were you stopped?
So I started my journey from a southern town in Morocco called Gelmim. So I took a bus ride from there to Dakhla, and just before Tarfaya, just on the border between Morocco and the occupied zone, I have been ordered off the bus, and I've been informed that there are specific instructions coming from high up to not allow me to proceed to Laayoune.
And so what happened to you then?
So basically I waited for an hour, and they hired a taxi for me that took me back to Agadir, which is around 6-7 hours away. And they kept a close eye on me at every checkpoint. So we have been stopped around 5-6 times. They were checking my passports. They were calling the driver. So it felt a little bit unsafe.
So they drove you away 5 hours to where?
So they drove me, I think, more than 6 hours to Agadir, which is 3 hours away, or 3 hours and a half away from Marrakesh. And I spent the night there, and I came back the day after. But for me, that episode is just an example of how Morocco, the Moroccan monarchy, how the Makhzen, the king and the elite around him, does not want international people and people coming for the COP22 to know about its occupation of Western Sahara that has been ongoing for more than 4 decades now.
Interestingly, Ban Ki-moon, the UN Secretary General, was here, actually met with the king, though it doesn't look like the king wanted to exactly look at him, because he just recently called the presence of Morocco in Western Sahara an occupation.
Mm-hmm. So COP22, the climate talks that are being held in Marrakesh this month, an excellent opportunity for the Makhzen, which is the king and the ruling elite around him, to whitewash, their crimes, the repression, the authoritarianism, and also make people forget about the occupation that has been ongoing for more than 4 decades in Western Sahara. It's also an opportunity to greenwash the environmental crimes that the Makhzen has been...
and the Makhzen means?
Makhzen is the king and the elite around him. So basically the ruling class in Morocco, to greenwash the environmental crimes in Morocco and in the occupied zones. So I have been visiting different places in Morocco recently where people are suffering from big, huge environmental injustices. And one of them is the Imidar community that has been struggling with the Royal Holding silver mine in mine that has been, grabbing their resources, grabbing their water.
And explain where Imidar is.
So Imidar is in southeast Morocco, is around 7 hours drive for Marrakesh. So the community has been struggling there for years against this silver mine that has been polluting their environment, affecting their agriculture. And so this is, in a way, a contradiction between the narrative that the monarchy is trying to give to outsiders, that they are champions of renewable energy, that they are green and all of that. But in reality, when you look deep down, you see a lot of environmental destruction. There is another example too, Safi, which is a town, an industrial town on the ocean, which is really a victim of the industrial policies of Morocco. There is actually now a coal-fired power station that is being built, and that will be operational in 2017. So at the time they are saying we are doing renewable energy, they are building a coal-fired power station, and that coal will be brought from Russia, Poland, and South Africa. But then, if you look deeply into the details of the renewable plans, you see that an important part of it is based on occupied territory. So without the approval of Sahrawi in taking the decisions and how those resources are being used.
The Sahara are the West Saharans.
Yeah, the West Saharans. So there is a report by an organization called Western Sahara Resource Watch, just released a few weeks ago, called Power in the Plunder, where they document all those renewable plants, wind and solar. And they mentioned an example of where a wind farm is powering the Bukra phosphate mine, which is in occupied territory. So basically, powering that mine to plunder even further the resources of the Sahrawis.
How difficult is it for people to get to Western Sahara who don't already live there?
I think the movements of the Sahrawis are monitored. So the Moroccan security services and the Royal Gendarmerie really monitor the movements of the Sahrawi people. For international delegations, so the moment they detect that those delegations are talking with human rights activists and human rights organizations, they deport them. There have been many examples in the past with delegations from Norway, from Spain, being deported the moment they detect them talking with human rights activists.
What are they hiding?
I think, to say it briefly, they hide in the reality of occupation, they hide in the reality of repression, they hide in the reality of the denial of the rights of the Sahrawis for their self-determination.
Share the history of Western Sahara.
So Western Sahara was a colony, a Spanish colony, till 1975. So when the Spanish left, the Morocco and Mauritania invaded Western Sahara. Mauritania retreated, I think, a year later, but Morocco still occupies that land and plunders the resources. And it's not just phosphate, it's fishing, it's tomatoes, it's agriculture. And Sahrawis do not have any input in the decision making. And I think this needs to be exposed, and the COP22 should not be allowed to be an opportunity for the Makhzen, the king and the elite around him, to greenwash their crimes and to whitewash the occupation.
There are amazing parallels to Indonesia's occupation of East Timor in 1975. Mm-hmm. But in 1999, the UN was able to sponsor a referendum for the people of East Timor, mm-hmm. and they voted for their independence, and now they're one of the newest nations in the world.
Yeah, I think that's what the Sahrawis wish to happen. They just want the right to self-determination, and the UN is supportive of that. Except that Morocco has the support of some Western powers, including France and the US and Spain, and that diplomatic and international support allows it to continue the occupation. So I think we need to exercise the pressure on the Moroccan monarchy as well as its backers and the multinationals that are complicit in the plunder of resources.
That was the British-based Algerian activist Hamza Hamouchine, who serves as the senior program officer for North Africa and West Asia at the British organization War on Want. He recently attempted to enter the occupied Western Sahara, but was stopped by Moroccan authorities on his way.